The Alone in the Dark series is often credited as one of the pioneers of survival horror, but not every entry in the franchise has aged well. Today, we are looking at Alone in the Dark, Jack is Back, also known as Alone in the Dark 2, One-Eyed Jack's Revenge on the PlayStation. While this game holds some great childhood memories for me, playing it today is, well, let's just say it is rough. Despite its issues, I had nice memories of playing this game back in the summer of 1997 with my childhood friend Greg at his house on the Sega Saturn. We were sitting in his room, swapping the controller while drank soft drinks and spent hours trying to navigate the game clunky controls, figuring out the puzzles and dealing with the ridiculously difficult combat. Back then, the atmosphere was enough to keep us engaged. After all, there weren't many games quite like this at the time, and I remember we had no walkthrough or many games to play, so we played Alone in the Dark day after day. But one moment from that summer is burned into my memory, but I'm sure not just into mine. We had made pretty far in the game when I discovered something bizarre. I could actually save my game on the game over screen. Well, not literally on the game over screen, but on this screen which leads to the game over screen, and you cannot do anything here. The guy just carries you to the doorway and throws you down. Now logically this makes no sense to save there, but in my young mind I thought we made a quite long progress and I don't want to continue the game from far back, and I opened the menu and saved the game right there. And I completely ruined the progress. And of course we used only one save file. My friend Greg was furious, he was raging. I remember he was screaming, "What are you doing?" And looking back, I totally get it. I had essentially soft locked our save, forcing us to start over the game. And we did. I remember I told him, "No worries, I quickly make it back where we've been." Nice memories. We still talk about it from time to time, and we even played the game together not long ago to see how it holds up. Well, we've been frustrated and had enough. But anyway, in this video I want to talk about Alone in the Dark because it is a retro game and is not completely shit. It has some nice aspects even today. So, sit back, relax, while I fire up the time machine. What's up my fellow retro gamers out there? Welcome on the Backlog Quest, where we are celebrating the golden era of gaming. I'm Mr. Zonsta, your guide through gaming's greatest gems. Buckle up as the time machine is ready to launch. The first Alone in the Dark game has been released in 1992 for MS-DOS, and it was a revolutionary game, often considered the first true survival horror title, inspiring classics like Resident Evil. Alone in the Dark 2 has been released in 1993 on PC, taking a more action-oriented approach. If I'm honest, for a game released that long ago I have to be a bit more fair and give some credit for. The games were much more simpler back in that time, and if I look at Alone 2 in this way, things are looking a bit different. Alone in the Dark had a mix of pre-rendered backgrounds and polygonal character models, which was common in that era. Fast forward to 1996 and we got a PlayStation and Sega Saturn port of Alone in the Dark 2, renamed Alone in the Dark, Jack is Back in Europe and One-Eyed Jack's Revenge in North America. This version attempted to bring the horror and adventure elements to a new audience, but let's just say the transition wasn't exactly smooth. The story follows private detective Edward Carnby, who is investigating the kidnapping of a young girl, Grace Saunders, by the notorious pirate-turned-gangster One-Eyed Jack and his crew. Pirate-turned-gangster? What the hell? The pirates and gangster lived hundreds of years apart from each other. Anyway, the game takes place in Hell's Kitchen, a sinister mansion filled with undead pirates and other supernatural enemies. As Carnby, you must infiltrate the mansion, battle against bizarre enemies, and uncover the dark secrets lurking within. The story itself has potential, and the setting is undeniably atmospheric, but the way it's told can be confusing. There is very little direct exposition, and much of the narrative unfolds through notes, diary entries and newspaper articles, and some cutscenes. The game assumes you already understand everything from the previous title, which makes things even more difficult for newcomers. But to be honest, back then we did not really care about the background story, we enjoyed the atmosphere, which was good back then. But how is the atmosphere holds up today? Well, it is not scary, however there are a few good creepy moments in the game, like when you are in the garden and this camera angle shows this creepy hand and someone looking at you from the mansion. Personally, I love abandoned creepy mansions, so the setting for me is still cool, however I would not call it scary at all. It is daylight, the settings are colorful, there are no jump scares, and it is fun to explore the mansion and its surroundings. Alright, let's talk about the nitty-gritty. Playing Alone in the Dark today can be a really frustrating experience. Normally, I do not have problem with tank controls. I played many games with tank controls by now, so I am, let's say, used to them. But here, the tank controls are stiff, making movement feel sluggish. So sluggish that Carnby is acting like he's high on something or already drunk from the whiskey which he carries in his flask. Anyway, what kind of health potion is that? Did you ever drink whiskey when you were injured? And have you seen how slow the combat was when I tried to kick or hit an enemy? First, I thought that I pressed the wrong button as nothing happened when I pressed the button which should make the character attack. Oh fucking hell, and the aiming. It is downright painful. It is imprecise, frustrating, and turns every enemy encounter into a battle against the controls rather than actual enemies. The main problem is that you never know where you are aiming. I am trying to shoot a zombie and I shoot the fucking bushes. And of course, ammo is scarce, so few mistakes like this and you're fucked. Your best option is to go closer to them or position yourself sideways so you can see where you are aiming. But forget about long distance aiming. This was a constant issue in similar games from this era. We've seen some games where this has been handled well, like in the case of Chase the Express or Fear Effect, but to be fair, these were released much later than Alone in the Dark. I had to say that the combat makes Resident Evil's classic stop and shoot mechanics feel like a modern FPS in comparison. The camera angles while trying to be cinematic often works against you. You get disorientated, your character will turn backwards and go back to the preview screen while you keep pressing the same directional button just because the camera angle has been changed. Whew. And if the combat wasn't frustrating enough, the game's puzzles take the confusion to a whole new level. Some of them follow traditional adventure game logic, requiring you to find keys or interact with objects, but others make absolutely no sense. For example, there's a section where you need to use a bottle of wine to progress, but the game gives you no real indication how you can use it or is it really necessary. I believe it's not you can progress if you not use it, but it's much more easier if you do. Then, there are moments when interacting with an object in one room triggers an event in a completely different part of the mansion with no logical connection. It's the kind of trial and error gameplay that can drive you insane. And there are some clever puzzles and item usage in the game which is cool, but those which does not make any fucking sense are really infuriating. I mentioned that we wanted to play through this game with Greg lately to have some laughs. Do you know where we stopped playing it because we said no, fuck that? Here. I should go up on some stairs, but there are many enemies up there and they will slaughter me despite I have a lot of health and ammo. Do you know what was the solution? Well, apparently there is a sack here, and in that sack there was a Santa Claus costume. You have to put on the Santa Claus costume and walk around in the fucking mansion as Santa Claus and the zombies are not gonna attack you. I have one question here. What the developers were thinking? Seriously? How are you supposed to figure this out? This would be the last thing that I would think, or maybe not even think about it. And what about the zombies? Oh, Santa is here, maybe he broke some brains for us to eat, let's not attack him. What the fuck? So, this was the point when we gave up. I do not mind when I have to use my brain in the game, and I think about when I had to use an item, but this is another level, no thanks. And let's not forget the inventory management. The game forces you to juggle a variety of items, some of which serve no immediate purpose, leaving you unsure whether you should keep or discard them. If you accidentally use the wrong item at the wrong time or accidentally discard the item, you might even softlock yourself, forcing a complete restart, or if you are wiser than I was, you are going to use multiple save files. This kind of game design just adds to the overall frustration. But you know what, despite all these issues, I somehow still enjoyed my time with Alone in the Dark 2. Once you get used to the controls and have a walkthrough next to you, the game has some cool moments and the exploration of the mansion is still satisfying. Somehow you're always curious what are you going to find in the next room. And the good thing is you can beat the game in about 4 hours, so it is a quick run. So, how does Alone in the Dark 2 holds up today? Honestly, it is hard to say. There are important parts in the game which not aged well at all, like the controls and the aiming. The puzzles can be frustrating, but if you're a hardcore adventure gamer, you are probably used to these difficult puzzles. While I still appreciate the eerie atmosphere and the nostalgic memories, the gameplay is just too clunky to recommend to newcomers. If you are not used to old school games, you are going to have a difficult time here. However, If you're a hardcore survival horror fan or someone who enjoys revisiting old classics of gaming history, it might still be worth checking out. Just be prepared for a challenging experience. And you're not gonna believe this, but I might going to try the first On the Dark game as that plays in a mansion too. Maybe I'm a masochist in a way, who knows. And that's it, this game has been cleared from my backlog. I hope that you enjoyed this time travel back to the golden era of gaming. If you're not a member of our retro gaming community, join us by subscribing. Also, the YouTube algorithm shows us some videos for you, it is on the screen now, check them out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Backlog Quest video.